Okay, so let's go ahead and talk about these questions on your practice benchmark. So we're going to solve by factoring. It says solve first, then by factoring, right? Or solve by factoring. So if we're going to factor first, then solve. Sorry, I got a little confused there. But 9 is a perfect square, so is 25. So when we factor, we are allowed to go ahead and square root, factor out the square. So we're going to have 3x plus 5 and all right. Again, I think I screwed up. This is supposed to be a negative, so I'm going to go over this one with you. The formatting's off a little bit. It's no big deal. You're going to set these both to 0. Okay. So obviously, watch this video. Get the help you need. If I subtract 5, I get 3x equals negative 5. Divide 3, x equals negative 5 over 3. If you do this one, you're going to get x equals positive 5 over 3. Plus or minus 5 over 3. Boom, right there. Okay. All right, the next one. What are the solutions to the quadratic? Some people are asking about factoring. Let's factor first. A times c on the top, b on the bottom. All right. So then I'm going to go, what, 7 times 3. And there's no coefficient in front of a. A is 1, so you can just do x plus 7. We're going to set it up, x plus 3. And we know it's a one-step equation. So negative 7, negative 3, negative 7, negative 3. Okay? Let's keep it going. Now, Rebecca's solving the equation by factoring. What are the solutions to the equation? Now, when I talk about GCF, you got to see if all of them have something in common. They don't. 4 and 20 both have 4 in common, but 11 doesn't have anything. 11's prime, right? So there's not going to be anything that goes in that. So we're going to go ahead and just try our normal factoring method, okay? What goes on the top? Negative 80. What goes on the bottom? Negative 11, okay? Now, let's talk about this. So I did a little math right now just to make sure. This was a big number, so what I start doing is I start breaking down 80, what goes into 80, 10 and 8 is not going to work. What else goes into 80? 5 and 16. And I realized that 5 and 16 were going to work, right? Negative 16 times 5 is negative 80. Negative 16 plus 5 is negative 11. And then let's set this up. 4x. Why did I put 4x? Because that's my coefficient, remember? Minus 16 equals 0. 4x plus 5 equals 0. Okay? And then you can add 16. 4x equals 16. Well, obviously x equals 4 over here. Subtract 5. Divide the 4. Negative 5 over 4. And 4. Oh, my pen's dying a little. That's going to be A. Quadratic formula, you should know, negative b. X equals negative b. Okay? I'm not going to do that one for you. I'm going to help you with this one. So x equals negative b plus or minus the square root. B squared minus 4ac all over 2a. 4 squared is 16. Negative 4 times 3 is negative 12. Negative 12 times 2 is negative 24. Do this math, I'm going to get negative 8. Remember, we talked about this. When you get a negative inside the square root, is there any number times itself that's going to be a negative 8? No, that's not going to work, okay? So guess what? Your answer will become no solution. This graph does not go over, it doesn't hit the x-axis. Something that could go like up here doesn't hit the x-axis, all right? That's what no solution basically means. It would be up here. If it was negative, it'd be down here kind of thing. Doesn't hit the x-axis, all right? Number 6 is pretty straightforward. Do the best you can. Make sure you be careful with what you see your x to be, or what your negatives are here, all right? And number 7, we did this one in class. Obviously, you're looking at this. This looks like Pythagorean theorem. You know, this is interesting. If you wanted to, on your notes, figure out what the actual seconds are whenever you get your answer, that'd be pretty cool too. All right, do the best you can on that. And number 8, factor by GCF. Some of you guys are still struggling with this stuff. 6 goes into both of them. I'll take 6 out. M, they both have M, but how many M's do they have total? 3. They both have at least 3. All right, now I'm taking 6m3 out of that. All that's going to be left is m squared. And I'm taking 6m3 out of negative 24, 4, and that's it, right? Because m3 is taking this out. m3 cancels that out. So just 4, negative. So there's your answer. Where is that going to be? Cool. Let's go. Let's do this. Number 9. Remember, this has to become positive, and everything else in the side over here flips signs, okay? So now I have, oh, this is interesting because this is out of order. So be careful. I'm going to underline the P. I'm going to double underline the Q squared, and I'm going to put a line like this where there's no Q here, and then there's no P squared. Kind of weird, I know. I just did this visually to help me. So when I look at this 10P and I have 4P, I know my answer will have 14P. All right. I look at negative 5Q squared and negative Q squared. Remember, that's a negative. That's going to be negative 6Q squared. There's no negative Q. There's no 7P squared. So let's try to figure this out. Positive 7P squared, negative 6Q squared, plus 14P minus Q. Ooh, that was a lot to look at. On your benchmark, it will not be that out of order. This was much more challenging than what you're going to see. Which quadratic, when graphed, has x-intercepts of negative 2 and negative 3? This one's kind of interesting. What you have to do is look at your answers and solve them. If you set this to 0 and you set this to 0, what would x be? Well, it's pretty easy with this one since it would be probably x equals 3, right? One-step equation and x equals 2. Is that what we're looking for? Nope. All right. If we set this to 0, I know right away I'm going to set this to 0. Subtract 2, divide 6, that's going to be a fraction. That's not what we want. What about C? Let's try 2x minus 6 equals 0. Let's just try this one. Add 6. X equals 3 for this one, for C. Is that what we want, though? No. So it's got to be D. But let's just make sure. We subtract 6. X equals negative 3. That's what we want to see. Perfect. And then x plus 2 equals 0. Subtract 2. Negative 2. Yep. All right. Now, I don't know why this is here. This is here for no reason. That was my bad. That should not be any part of the test. And 11, I want you to do this in your notes. I want you to do this in your notes for extra credit. Remember, you're setting up the middle part first. All right. You're going to go ahead and solve that, and that's going to go right in the middle. X and Y. Negative B over 2A. That's going to be negative 4 over negative 4, which becomes positive 1. All right. If I plug in 1 here, 1 squared and negative 2 plus 4. That's what it looks like. 1 squared is 1 times negative 2 is negative 2 plus the 4, 2. You're going to go up 2, down 2. The 0 is the easiest one. That's going to be positive 4. That means this is going to be positive 4. Go ahead and finish this for me and graph it. All right, you guys, do the best you can. Study the videos I've left you, and I will see you on Tuesday.